All right, what is happening, everybody? We are live with Lessons from Leaders. This is August 16th, and I'm super excited today to have with us one of my favorite people, Cara Crimmins. She is a leader on our team in Maui. She is our CE instructor. She's a certified life coach. She's just a ray of sunshine to everyone she comes in contact with. And I've asked her today to come on and share her story and some of her lessons that got her to where she is today, and I'm really excited about it. So let's bring Cara on and welcome her. What's happening, Cara? How are you?
I am absolutely ecstatic to be here, Dylan. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for doing it and sharing. I know you have so much value to give, and you do that on a daily basis. And I'm glad that everybody online gets the chance to see it. So, to get started, give us a little bit of background about yourself and what got you here.
Oh, wow. That's quite the journey. So it's going to be a little bit like a Disney movie where there's a little sadness and drama in the beginning, but it all ends up to be something magical with some music. So I guess it starts when I was 5. Um, I was 5 years old and my mom left, and my dad worked 14 hours. So I was left pretty much to raise myself. And that was such a blessing now that I look back at it, because it gave me an opportunity to not have limits put on me by other people's beliefs. And there was this whole aspect of I had to figure out how to live on my own pretty much and seek answers to my questions. So it was a blank slate. And then at 8 years old, I had another transformative moment. I had an opportunity to heal that relationship with my mom. And I sat her down and I said, "Hey, I'm going to give you my pain." At 8. I don't know where this divine information came from, but I did. I sat her down. I said, "I'm going to give you my pain." And I laid it all out to her. And it taught me something about self awareness, self preservation, knowing myself, and putting me first and saying, I matter. And also seeing how people are going to work with that and what they do to heal that situation. And during that time, I began a quest of becoming the very best version of myself, because that was such a cool moment that it led me into thinking more about, wow, that was awesome. Now what? What's next? So
What
fly
inspired
forward.
that at eight
Oh,
years old? Like, was it a book you read? Was it something you saw? Or was it just divine intervention? Like, what inspires at 8 years
totally,
old?
totally divine intervention. When I've shared this story before, people are like, where did that come from? And I have to say, hand to God, I don't know. But I also feel that it led me to understand that I was connected to something far greater than I will ever be alone. And it started then. And it was undeniable, because who does that at age 8? It's like, what? Sit down and here's my pain and you need to take it. So it was really beautiful, because I have to say that through that, she became my best friend until the last breath of her life. I talked to her every day moving forward from that time until she was 74 years old. So talk
Wow.
about a mending situation. That was awesome. Yeah, huge impact. So then I went into wanting to know more about the mind. So I got my psychology degree, fascinated by people. And I have to say, I even got my little subsection in psychology in deviant behavior. Oh, I love how people do things and why. So there's nothing that you could ever say to me, anybody, that'll shock me, because I've seen it all. It's been crazy. But that taught me to how understand your mind. It really gave me insight to what makes it work and why people do what they do. So fascination started then. Nursing degree at age 19. I had the opportunity to now put the concept of the mind and the body and the connection of the mind and body together. So for the next 13 years, I practiced that. But what was really amazing was that I was an Alzheimer's nurse. I loved learning from my elders. And that was inexplicably life changing when you sit there and you sit at the feet of these people who are not only struggling to remember who they are, it's humbling, but they also have those great insights of how to be true to yourself and live your life to the fullest now that you have it. So many lessons I can unpack with that one. But this is
Mhm.
where that same divinity came in with my mom at age 8. My father got Alzheimer's when I was 19, as I was already practicing as an Alzheimer's nurse. So I was like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? I felt so
Full
on purpose.
circle.
It was so full circle. And I felt like everything that I was born for was for a purpose. And it started giving me this, oh, okay, I got to do something with this life. I've seen so much death. I need to do something with this life. So I took care of my dad, and it taught me humility. It taught me honor. It taught me respect in a way that was so profound. And it also taught me to live, to really live and inspire other people to live. I became the most powerful sunshine being ever because I was like, I am not going to live in a cloudy day and end up there, because that just doesn't work anymore. So I started my reversing of aging backwards right at that moment. But he became my responsibility when I was 19 years old because my stepmother at the time said, you deal with him. So not only was I taking care of him and that responsibility, it really was a shock to have my dad become my son in a way, you know? So I just got deep into the whole aspect of serving and honoring and learning more about the mind. And then I laid my dad to rest when I was 31. And I also hung up my nursing career at that time. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've seen so many deaths and so much pain, and it was beautiful. However, I just felt like there's a new journey for me and I'm ready to play. So I decided I was going to marry a guy that I only knew for 3 months and move to Maui. Just go on that journey. Why not? From being from Buffalo, New York, honestly, snow and cold, getting to California where I was doing my nursing to Maui was like a dream come true. So I was like, sure, I'll just marry this guy and, jump over to the ocean and be on Maui. It's crazy.
Worked
So I was
out.
like, okay. And it totally worked out. It's so awesome. Maui is so nokaoi. Sorry, Big Island, but I gotta say. Anyway, so I learned a lot from that transition, because when you marry somebody after only being with them for 3 months, you have a lot of self-reflection and times to really find yourself and figure out life. It was intense. But I was working as a concierge manager with Expedia. What does anybody else do when you come to Maui? You either work in a hotel or you sell activities. So I sold activities. And I got to be a concierge manager, and I ran a department that had multiple hotels of high-end hotels. And that's where I got my taste of teaching. Like, really, I had 132 people that I had to inspire and motivate and educate and lift. And oh man, I'm sure you know, Dylan, that when you teach, you retain 95% of what you teach. And generally what you teach, you're talking to yourself. So I was like, I can't wait to teach these things. And that's where I got my first taste of teaching. So this is how the whole CE instructor came about later. So after I'm in this whole position, I have my first child. I was 38. I was 38. Oh, 30. Yeah, 38. So I was a little old mama. So they're keeping me young. Hey, if you're not a good laugh with me, then I don't know what is. But she was the reason that I really realized that I had to say more to myself and to my family. So I quit corporate America and I started launching into my entrepreneurial streak. I started a couple different companies and I got settled into working in marketing for real estate agents, because there's a lot of them in Maui. So I figured, why in the heck not? So not only agents, but other industries. So here I find myself, I'm in this. I have my son at 40, and that boy is rascally. And he has taught me more about being resilient, a negotiator, adapting. I can go on and on of all the skills that I've learned by having this one. Man, oh man, he has really taught me everything. And during that time, I met Beth Holiday. I don't know if you guys know
Yes.
who she is, but she is a master trainer, educator, life lifter, powerhouse on Maui of an educator. And she was my client in 2013. So I had the beautiful chance. This is now 11 years we've been together. Wow. We've been working together for 11 years. I got to mentor her or be mentored by her, shadow her, listen to her in coaching and in education. And that's it. I was sold. As soon as I found the disc that she was teaching, I was like, everything makes sense. Oh, I have the ability to know myself. I have the ability to know others. And then there's that spiritual aspect of it, of just standing in the presence of I am. And it just clicked. I was like, that's it. She's my queen. I'm going down the disc rabbit hole and let's go. So started way back then. And I found myself after meeting her divorced after 13 years of marriage, 2 kids, 32 clients, no sleep, total chaos. And then another huge mentor of mine, Melanie Vitale, came into my life. And this is where real estate shows itself to me. And I'm so grateful. Melanie picked me up and said, look, stop being my hourly paid employee and be my partner. And that's the critical aspect that changed everything for me, everything. And she mentored me. She was patient with me. She kicked my booty when I needed it kicked. She millions of times got me out of my own way and said, what are you thinking? You're great. Just go. Because I had that like secret agent issue for like a year. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Just like, ah. So the most important thing is that I realized that being with somebody that can be your mentor or find that you respect, that's critical. Working with a person that can lead you, guide you, and kick you in the tush is a great thing. And she changed my life in another way too.
When you mentioned this, but you didn't say it explicitly, one of the things is somebody that believes in you, right?
She super believed in me. Believes
Absolutely.
in me still. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. She even tells me, you're the like most capable person I know. And I'm like, oh, I am. Sometimes you forget because you're just in the grind. So yes, having those people tell you that is
Huge.
beyond critical.
Yeah.
You're so right. She also broke a ceiling for me. I had been going through at maybe $120,000 a year, being happy as a concierge manager and doing what I did. But she showed me how, through her perseverance and her consistency and her relentlessness, to just keep following up. There's so much money in the follow-up. It's amazing to me. And she tripled my annual income in one moment. And I was like, oh, wow.
Was that easy? It was that easy, right?
It was that easy. And it was literally the relentlessness. And it wasn't annoying relentlessness. It was professional, beautiful, awesome relentlessness. So I encourage everybody.
Thoughtful, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
And she showed people that there was strength in her quality of work. And, she was the type that, or is the type that she does what she says she's going to do. And that's huge. That was a lesson that even when I failed it, it's still in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, she's so right in my head. Just like you, Dylan, you're so in my head. But yeah, she really showed me how to reach forward in my finances. And then
what year was this?
This
when you
was
made the transition into real estate.
So 2018, I started in real estate when I was 46. And then we were working together before we started with the agency team at EXP for 2 years. And then we joined you all, and it's been amazing. So
and let me just comment on that. I mean, it's been amazing in 2 ways, and for a lot of people that have been watching the growth and the expansion. It started with Cara and Melanie reaching out and saying, hey, let's do this on Maui. And so just know that, I mean, you guys inspired a lot of what has transpired over the last 18 months. And without you saying, hey, this is possible, to me, I probably wouldn't have recognized it. And so I'm always grateful to you guys for reaching out. And I even thought to myself initially, I'm like, why would these people want to work with me? They're so successful and they're so great. Why would they be reaching out? And so anyways, I just want to make sure people know that context, that it was a turning point. There's eras in business growth, and that was definitely the beginning of an era that led to a massive amount of expansion that ended in Kauai last year. So I love you guys for that. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, my heart is so full for that, and I'm turning purple as red as my shirt because you deserve it. You deserve it. And the reason that you stood out to me, and I told this story on stage twice already about I was walking by, I heard your voice, and you're a fast talker, you were motivated, and I'm a New Yorker. You could tell I talk fast too. I was like, oh, who's this guy? And then I listened, and what I found in you was not just a fast talker, but you are so humble and you care. You genuinely care about people, and you're a fantastic freaking leader. And I will always follow success. You are a success. You're going to be even a bigger success. And I'm just grateful to be part of that journey, to whisper in your ear, like Melanie did for me. You got this. I'm so grateful. But what I saw was not only just you as a leader, but what you built. And that's the key for why I joined this process of becoming part of something bigger than yourself.
Mhm.
Because I recognized that way back in my journey is I'm part of something bigger than myself. I can't do this alone. And the synergy and I'm going to say love because that's who I am. The love that I felt from the tribe was so real and palatable. And I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think that there was any company anywhere in any division that could be led with cooperation, understanding, compassion. These are the things that I thought were just like a Ben and Jerry's Nirvana thing, like who does this, especially in real estate? And I'm like, that's it. They're my tribe. And it has been nothing short of extraordinary seeing the consistency. And that's the one piece that I want to go back into as well. Melanie was relentless and beautiful. And that's the consistency that I see in this team, is that you're continuously dedicated to making sure that we have the tools to succeed, and that the consistency of people being willing to love one another, but also support one another in education, because we can't do it alone. There's days that we all want to fall on our faces and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit. And then everybody's there saying, I got you. And that's it. And that's what we need. So that's how it changed me professionally, being part of this team and being part of real estate. It changed changed my view and professionally, because you also got me an opportunity, because I said yes to me, to stand in rooms of leaders, thought leaders, industry leaders that are beyond anything that I would ever have had the opportunity to do, where I want to be, because I am that thought leader. Maybe I'm not there in actuality, but I am that thought leader, and I'm going there. So when I'm there and I'm looking, I'm inspired. I'm life changed. I'm not just for one day inspired. I'm permanently inspired. So that I owe you, Dylan, for doing these great things and bringing all these people together. The other thing I'm grateful for is the hardship that I had. And I know this sounds strange, because I have preached that there's purpose in pain. One of the things that happened when Melanie and I reached that huge financial win, there's this thing called normalization. And I didn't know what that was until it happened. And I was like, oh, okay. Normalization means when you break a ceiling in your finances or your success, your subconscious mind does everything it can to normalize you and bring you back down into a state of homeostasis, to get back into your comfort zone. If you have a mentality or a belief system that's I was talking to somebody about the garage sale mentality. You can only get your clothes at the garage sale, or are you a Neiman Marcus? So when you're only at a garage sale and then you're trying to shop at a Neiman Marcus, you're walking out of there going, oh, I don't know how to do this, right? So it's changing your mind. So when that normalization happened, which means over the course of a year, things shifted. And then I recognized, oh, we have more power in our mind than we can ever imagine. And then I dug in even deeper. I wanted to know more, like, give me more input of how to make that never happen again, and how to stand in your power to be we talked about this earlier, to be in the presence of the I am and be the success that you are, instead of
I love that.
feeling
I
like
love that.
you could
I,
always shop at
I talk
Walmart.
about that a lot in the context of local kids, and I experienced this growing up where I call it the coconut ceiling, right? Where
Yes.
you're told that like the your aspiration in life should be to like get a county or state job that you could work at for 40 years and then retire with a small pension and die. Like that's like what a lot of kids are taught to aspire towards. And it's
Yep.
like we can do so much more, right? But it's like that's because a lot of people that's the furthest they went, so they just think that's the furthest anybody can go. So I always love to be around the people who think bigger than that and are inspire us to go beyond what our self-contained boundaries are. So
That's
love that.
super true. That's self-contained boundary. So this is the perfect segue to the thought of being breaking down the walls to build the bridge. So what does that look like? What does that mean? It's breaking down the walls of the coconut ceiling. And what's holding you back? Start asking yourself questions. Get real with yourself. Take a moment of self-reflection so you can get to self-awareness. And what I tell my kids is like, when you have a bad energy or bad moment or a yell or somebody makes you feel something or you feel something, I call it molasses, like tar in your body, and it sticks in there. And it's like, oh, it's sticky stuff and it holds you. So what I'm saying is like reach in there and pull the tar out and use it to build your pathway, repurpose it, use it to build the bridge. Use your pain, use your problems, use your limitations, use those aspects that hold you back to propel you. And then you ask, well, how in the holy hell am I supposed to do that if I don't have anybody showing you how to jump out of the plane and build it on the way and build that bridge? You know what I'm saying, mister, is you put yourself in the presence of greatness. You put yourself in a position where you get the opportunity to say yes to you. You get the opportunity to learn how to get all that crap out and build something out of it because it's just data. It's just stuff. We can just transform it, but we have to know how. So this is where the hardest place in my real estate career came up that leads to how I moved that pain and that stickiness to starting to build the bridge. And it started with the Maui wildfire.
Mm.
When things like that happen, it humbles a community and it gives you a moment to reflect on who you are and what's super, super important to you. Like, what are your really, 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 reallys? And if you don't know what that means, look it up. So
And I know we had several conversations and you were very much questioning many things, life and many things around it. I remember those conversations vividly. Yeah.
Do I leave? Do I stay? Do I do real estate? Yeah, all of it. It was
Yeah.
humbling. And what I recognized was beauty rises from the ashes. And life more abundantly comes from the ashes. There's growth that's happening here that's been extraordinary. So I can either tuck and run and be burnt by the singe, ow, and retract, or I can stay and wait for the growth. So that's a literal and that's a figurative recognition of myself. So during that time, I had to say no to being team lead, which is my heart, I had to say no to pushing hard and being a massive producer and breaking those ceilings. I had to say yes to my family and pivot to saying yes to the true destiny that I know that's been whispering inside of me, inside of my heart since the beginning of age 8 is you're a teacher. You're a leader. You're a motivator. Go light up the world. This is a time of healing. And how could I better serve my community, my real estate community, than to give them that? Than to give them the opportunity to know themselves, to heal their pain, to get out of their own way, to get off their booty and believe in themselves, get the tar out so that way they could follow your lead or other leaders' lead to take the production to the next level. So I was like, that's it. I recognized during that time that it was super freaking hard worrying that I was going to fail somebody or that I was going to now have to recreate myself again and worrying about my family in a real profound way. But then through the ashes came the beauty and the growth started happening. And as soon as it happened, it's unfreaking deniable. There's so much synergy in when you get rid of the crap, your whole entire life changes. And now I am fearlessly saying, Dylan, I quit the team on the leadership side going because I want to love on everybody and teach them and give them a better version of myself. So that's where I'm like, I love this team and they inspire me to be better and to level up. And I want to give them the best version of myself. And I can't do that unless I live true in my own true skin. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. So
I love it. I love it.
I want to, oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. So so let's talk about that. Like, is there a process? Is there questions you ask yourself? Like, what kind of, if somebody's watching this and wondering, like, how do I start that transformation? You know, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them is to first breathe and say yes to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, you freaking matter. You matter.
And you're literal about this. You serious
I am
about
literally
this, right?
look in the mirror and do this. You matter. And it's critically important that you see yourself because so many times we're working so hard to please others and to do things that other people expect us to do and be. And that's become our new normal. Again, go back to the homeostatic brain is, have you been trained and ingrained to live for others, to do what other people expect? Or are you willing to just leap and try to say yes to you? So I would first start with that, okay? Because I could go down that for a long time. But when you take that first step, you start pulling out all of that tar and you start pulling out the bricks, the pain, the generational historic stories that people have told you for years and years, generationally. And then you say, who am I? And then put good in. This is one thing that we all talk about as leaders is put good in every day, whether you're surrounding yourself by the people that you aspire to be and you get to like trip in their greatness, or you listen to great podcasts, you take classes, you find answers, you never stop seeking until you get to that place where you move into knowing. And then after the knowing, you are being it. It will happen. It's a scientific law of vibration. It will happen. So when that whole process happened for me, it taught me that I absolutely know the power of self-awareness. But then when I think about what that means in success, like how do I inspire other people to take self-awareness? Like how does that translate into business? Like, okay, I know myself. Now, how does that make me more money? How does that make me more happy? How does that make me more successful? It's when you know yourself and you can sit in stillness. First, know thyself. Seek to understand and then to be understood. With that, you bridge the gap to knowing other people. And because you're in strength, because you're in stability, you can stand being unwavered and be your authentic self and be fearless. You know me, I'm fearless. Like I have no fear. Hey, Cara, you want to jump on a podcast in 20 minutes? Sure, I got you. What are we going to talk about? Do you remember that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's only a
So
few people in the world you can call to do stuff like that. And you're on my list, you know?
I
So
am. I got you. Because it's that knowing yourself. And I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to fail. And I would love to teach people that that's the juice. That's the secret sauce is when you can stand and not fearing what other people believe about you or think about you, you've won. You're impenetrable at that point because if you know yourself, love yourself, then you can stand in the presence of anybody and say, I recognize that they too, no matter how much money they have or what political position they're in, they want to be seen, heard, and loved. And when
love
you
it.
know that, you can do anything to adapt to what they need, how they need to be spoken to, how they need to be cajoled, how they need to be pushed, how they need to be anything. That's your freaking superpower. That's one thing that DISC taught me, hands down. And if you don't know what DISC is, anybody ask me at the end and I will work with you. But that has taught me how to bridge the gap. So it's not only learning how to bridge or build the bridge to your self-awareness, it's building the bridge in between interpersonal connections. Like, you know that you can't sell anything or you can't do anything in life unless you have that feeling, right? That connection, that emotional tie to someone. Someone inspires you, you want to listen. Someone teaches you how to be better, you want to do more of that. That's the concept of building the bridge. And that's how I believe that it really lands you in a place of success in everything you do.
You got to build that bridge.
Totally build the bridge. But first, you got to get the junk out. And that's where I think that you and our great book ends. That's all I got to say.
So looking forward, right?
Yes.
Now you kind of brought us up to where we're at today. Looking forward, what are your future goals and aspirations? What do the next 5 years look like?
I am so lit up standing in my I am teacher. I am teacher. I am educator. I am motivator. And I have this beautiful opportunity right now to be a life instructor for my son's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade school, where I get to show these beautiful children how to be in their strength, how to learn all of these things that I'm sharing with you today. And that lights me up in a way that I cannot even begin to share. But then I've also decided that it's time for me to really unleash the beast a bit and let the world know that I'm here for them and start growing self-awareness. So I've created a one week a month on Sundays, and it's for all time zones. It's a mini series, a mini masterclass that's going to be about self-awareness, growth, self-mastery, many other things. I'm going to have you on one of these. I told you we're going to collaborate. So stay tuned for the leaders. I want to bring value to people so that way they believe that they can and have a consistent group of, I call myself the cheerleader, it works. The cheerleader behind to really empower people to do that. So that starts this Sunday on the 18th. I know it's short notice, but this Sunday I'm jumping in. I'm jumping out of the plane, Dylan.
I love it. I love it. How did this thing with your son start? How does that opportunity begin? That's I think that's interesting.
Oh, I love this. Okay. It started because of you.
I didn't know.
You didn't expect that.
I take no credit.
It's because you provided me a safe place to take a leap and say no to this to be me. Your genuine compassion for people just doing what they need to do. You had I call it the NJZ, the no judgment zone. You provided a no judgment zone. So because of that, I have been allowed in my own way to become the teacher that I want to be, the person that I know I've always been, but now I get to live it. So with that, I fearlessly walked into my son's school and I'm listening to them and they're like needing after school inspiration. They have a person that's teaching financial education which leads me to another point. They're teaching financial education. And then I was like, I have so much to offer about how to know yourself and to counter all this bully mentality. And wouldn't that be a utopia if the kids of today could have this that I'm teaching adults when they're in that sweet spot of 6th, 7th, and 8th? I was just lit up. And then I was talking to one of my coaching clients, and then she does financial work. And then we started conspiring about it. Like, yeah, let's bring this to the team. Let's bring this to the world. Let's bring little mini masterminds to the kids to level them up. And that has been, oh my gosh, my cheeks hurt. That has been the thing that's been driving me every day. I'm like writing.
I love it. I mean, this is something that is so missing in our education system, or something that's so missing in our kids being able to access that mindset coaching and that expansion of horizons. I mean, so I'm I want to hear more about this. We don't have to go into it now, but I want to definitely hear more about this. So I love
Well,
it.
it's
I love
gonna
it.
come because I told you I'm gonna be working with you soon on some of these projects, and I just am so happy to stand in that and believe that I can, and know that it's needed. And here's the other thing with that is that every single person is valuable. Every single person, no matter what you think your struggles are, or what you think you bring to the team, or what you think you bring to life, every single person matters. And every decision that you make, every choice that you make affects every single person else. We're all in this world together. Here's my kumbaya. We're all in this world together. So it's okay to leap. It's okay to make choices. And if you don't know how, surround yourself with people that do.
So on that point, you mentioned the no judgment zone, and I think
Yes.
definitely there's so many people that don't take action or don't do something out of the fear of judgment of others, right? I mean, that's such a huge thing that holds folks back. So what are some tips, tricks, practices if you're feeling that way to get beyond that? I mean, I think one is the simple one is don't surround yourself with people who will judge you. But if you have that kind of mentality, because we all have it, I have it, I shouldn't do the show because
Oh,
people
don't
might
get
not
me
like
on the
what we
should
say,
word.
or I shouldn't do
Mhm.
this or I shouldn't do that. But so yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Number one is the word awareness. I cannot stress it enough. Just be aware. I drew a picture of a hourglass. Put all of your self-talk, all of those words that you're like, oh, I'm in fear or they're going to judge me. And I've done this myself. I worried about, different things and tell the crazy person, I'm going to swear, but I won't. The crazy person in your head, just shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
And just take a breath, write out all the things that you want to write, and then look at it, fold it over, and put the word love across it. I can't tell you how incredibly powerful love heals all things. And I know this may sound esoteric, but really it is an energetic truth that when you have pain and all of these low density frequencies of fear and doubt and worry and condemnation and all of that, you put love on top of it and it dissolves it. So how in the hell do you find that if you don't know what it looks like? You just have self-awareness first.
And this is such a huge practice, right? Is the physical practice of actually doing something, right? I mean, that's something that you hear a lot about. And again, people don't take action on it. Like, writing the trauma that happened in your life and then just burning it in a fire, right? I mean, really taking action on. I mean, I personally practice that by the stuff I have on my walls, right? Like I have stuff. This is not in my. I mean, this isn't just for a cool background in my office, but I look at it every day. It's outside. I have it at home. I mean, I have it everywhere because the things that are really important to me, I want to look at and physically see every day, and it makes you conscious of it. And so, yeah, definitely the practice of physically doing the thing, whether it's writing it down or putting it on your bathroom mirror or whatever it is, right, is so very important.
And it's hard sometimes when you're around other people that are inevitably stuck in their positions when you're trying to raise yourself up and you're having that higher frequency. Okay, remember I talked about that homeostatic moment. Your surroundings do that too. So if you're having this desire to like, that's it, I'm going to go grow and I'm going to take on the world and I'm going to learn about myself and I'm going to shake off all this crap and I'm going to, and then everybody else around you is like, oh no, you can't. Nope. Mm-mm. Because you're changing. People don't want you to change because they like you being exactly who you are, because that's going to make them have to take a reflection on themselves. And that's just too scary. So recognize that in and of itself. When you're ready to go and grow, the people around you are going, trying to hold you back.
Yeah.
And it's because they're afraid. And that's okay. And this is why when you get to that place of being in your heart space, you give grace. You understand through new eyes. You can give, I'm going to say, you can give love to that energy and say, no, no, I choose me. And here's why. And when I choose me, this whole family is going to be better, or this whole workplace is going to be better. Be the leader, be the waymaker, be the light. And it's as simple as saying yes to yourself and starting with awareness. I hope I answered your question.
You did. No, that was Way more than asked for. I love it. I love it. So what other practices, but whether they be mental or physical, can you go through to get over that fear of judgment and those things that hold us back? What is one more thing?
The fear of judgment. Whew, that's one that is so completely conditioned in us by all of society and all of time. I don't think that there's just a plug and play and say, hey, this is the thing that you do. This is the answer. It just starts with small, consistent steps to re-anchor new beliefs. And I would say that that's it. So get plugged into coaching, get plugged into people that are there to help be the bridge for you while you're building it, giving you a guidance and how to step forward, whether that's books, podcasts, having a quiet moment in the morning. Meditation is super important. You can call it meditation. You could call it running on the treadmill for 30 minutes. You could call it 5 minutes at 5. You could call it whatever it is. But that moment in the morning when you first wake up and entrain your brain in the theta state to be calm and present with yourself, that's going to be a consistent pattern where you can actually start seeing momentum and change, just small bits at a time.
Love it. So you mentioned coaching, and I want to cover this since we're running. We've been going on here for about 40 minutes now, and I think this is maybe something that is a resource that a lot of folks, you're hearing about all this stuff, and it's like, man, it seems like a lot. And what do I do? And how can actually just getting a coach help you with this process? Because I think this is something that is super important. Yeah.
It's insurmountable,
Yeah.
because I think the word coach, by the way, gets a super bad rap because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, a coach, I have to work. A coach, I have to like do something. And then people don't want to work. They actually want to be lifted. That's the thing that I recognize. So even though I say an empowerment coach, I'd really recategorize myself as a lifter of leaders, because we're all leaders. It's having somebody believe in you to get you to raise up when you're just so freaking tired and you don't know the way. So how easy is it? Make a phone call, get onto my website, go and connect with people that inspire you, and take the leap. And it's not go ahead.
No, and have that external perspective, right? Because a lot of times we're in our heads and we're not seeing like the simple solution or the simple thing we got to deal with or the simple thing that we just have to change. And then now there's a huge difference. But it's like sometimes having that external perspective is so important. It's so valuable.
I super agree, because my coaching client that I just spoke to yesterday, she said something that really gave me perspective as a lifter. Is she said, you know what, Cara, the way you ask questions makes me think in ways I've never thought before. And the questions that you ask make me deal with things that I've never dealt before because I never thought of them. So it's about giving you perspective that you wouldn't have known otherwise. And that's where the real juice is because you go through life doing what you do, but you also need to know what you don't know. And that's where a coach comes in. And they're there to hold you accountable to that growth, as well as give you guidance in the aha moments that you wouldn't have had otherwise. You don't live in a silo. We live in a world where we need each other. And that's all that we as coaches are. We're just a support system.
I love it. I love it. So we got a little bit more information to share on that. But before we do, any final like thoughts, ideas that the listeners can take away with?
Yeah. I have a lot, but I'll keep it short. Yeah, I have plenty kind. I got plenty kind. Is read. I know this sounds strange, but read. Take a moment. What the act and the art of reading is slowing your brain down. It's getting you out of your way. It recenters you in something that is making your brain work in a different way. And I know I have a lot of fantastic books that I can show. The Richest Man in Babylon is one of the first ones that I've ever had. My mom was the one who taught me The Alchemist. And this is about truly being aware of yourself and for the power of putting your subconscious mind to work. You don't have to work so hard. Let your mind do it. Like, stop it. And then do less, achieve more. All the people that are grinding, they're getting busy, but it's not working for them. So do less, achieve more. I know it sounds insane. So read And then the most important one, I could go on and on for my bookshelf, but this is my most favorite. And here's why. I love you more. It's to find things that inspire you, to let you know that you're loved and that you're worthy and that you matter, and know that I see you and I hear you and I love you. And if you need anything or somebody to read you these great books, I'm here.
I love it. That couldn't have been better final thoughts. But we have one more thing to share. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. Oh, yeah. And the heart glasses. I love it.
My infamous heart glasses.
All right. So you mentioned this earlier, but if you want to take the next step, this is some information. Tell us about it.
Okay, so my Curiosity to Clarity coaching, I am launching an info series, and this is a free series. This is just to have inspiration and leveling up of your self-mastery, understanding of how to get unstuck, how to actually love yourself more, or find the ways to get that tar out to build the bridges. So each Sunday of the month, we're going to have these recorded if you can't make it live, but come join us and get interactive, and stay tuned because there's a podcast coming up next week as well.
Awesome, and we'll have information for that in the description. And there was a QR code. We'll put this up one more time. There's a QR code on there you can scan for more information. But thank you, Cara, for doing that. I'm looking forward to it, and I know that so many people are going to benefit greatly from it. But this was awesome. Any final thoughts? Final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, just honored to be part of the world's light. Let's go rock the world.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for all that you do, all the light and inspiration you bring to the team and everyone else in our community. It inspires me every day. You're somebody that I look up to and definitely believes in me, and I totally appreciate that. Yes,
I know that.
I do. And you don't just whisper it; you shout it from the rooftops most of the time. And I appreciate that. So
thank you so much, Dylan. It's an honor, and thank you, everybody.
Right on. Thanks, Cara. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Aloha Friday.